Do you have your agenda?
2 weeks ago on a Friday.
That is. Yeah. Not sure. Okay. We are calling the Special Services District meeting to order, 7:30 meeting. We'll begin with a roll call. Ms. LeBrow?
Ms. Blanks?
Present.
Ms. Cantor?
Here.
Mr. Davidoff?
Here.
Ms. Fay?
Here.
Mr. Gold?
Present.
Ms. Kerrigan is absent. Mr. Sweeney? Here. Mr. Winograd?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Present.
Mr. Morpurgo? And we have Karen Johnson as our, that will be our newly appointed alternate commercial member.
Okay, thank you, Ms. LeBrow. So we go to the public forum. Is there any member of the district who wishes to address the board regarding any item on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we will now go to number 3, Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Without objection, I move approval of the minutes from the May 25th, 2021 meeting.
Is there any objection? There being no objection, the meeting minutes are approved. We are now down to 8, adoption of scheduled of meetings for 2022. Mr. Davidoff, do you want to make the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move adoption of the schedule of meetings for 2022.
Okay, they should be attached to your agenda. They are I'll just read January 4th, 2022 at 6:30, March 8th, 2022 at 6:30, April 12th, 2022 at 6:30, April 25th, 2022 at 6:30. That's the budget adoption. The first one was the budget hearing. And then November 8th, 2022 at 6:30, setting of the 2023 schedule of meetings. And it will go by way too fast. We know that. The motions, we have to go to a voice vote. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Now we go to B, Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to receive the communication from Ms. Robin Rifkin, appointing Karen Johnson as an alternate member of the Special Services District Board.
Motion's been made and seconded. Welcome and thank you. And we go to a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Staff reports. Mr. Hart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 2 items we'd like to report on this evening. First of all, I've asked our Director of Public Works, Mr. Phillips, to provide us with a quick update on the status of parking operations. Our recovery is well underway, and he can add more detail on that in a moment or two. And then secondly, Ms. Johnson and I would like to discuss a 1-year traffic configuration pilot for Blueback Square.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Mr. Phillips. Nice to see you.
Good evening, Council. John Phillips, Director of Public Works. Real briefly, municipal parking operations, which includes Blueback Square and the garages, are doing well. We're still not performing pre-COVID. We're still about 29% below our monthly average from pre-COVID, but we're growing. We're getting better and better each and every month. We're basically pulling in approximately 82.5 of pre-COVID revenues. In the garages, just specifically for the garages for this group, we're seeing roughly 1,000 transactions per day in both garages collectively, which I think is a good number considering we have high turnover rates there. And any special activities we have going on is probably most likely focus has been on Del Mar Hotel. They're doing better as far as what we see from parking perspective. They're using the town hall parking lot currently due to really just taking advantage of the weather and the convenience of the town hall parking lot. As you recall, we owe them parking as part of the overall development agreement we have with the Del Mar. As the weather turns, we were going to move them into the garage. They just want to stay outside a little bit longer till the weather turns. But as soon as the weather sets in, they're going to come into the Memorial Garage. We hope to create new habits with the valet operation, to have them park in the garage permanently. It'll be a pilot for this winter, but there is a desire for them to come back outside next spring. But like I said, we'd like to hopefully develop a new habit for them and prove that operationally it can work in the garage as well as it does outside in the parking lot. And so we'll conduct that over the next several months through winter. And that's really briefly the parking operation, especially for the Blueback Square area.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. So for how many months have we seen that increase? Has it just been increasing over time, or have we been at that 82.5 for several months?
No, we probably broke 82 about a month ago. So we've been steady in the 70s, but we're slowly getting up. Obviously, the holidays were encouraged. Our on-street parking or on-street dining takes a big, almost 40% of the on-street spaces off the books, plus an additional 30 spaces for the 15-minute parking that we've been offering. So we have reduced inventory because of the support we've been giving the local merchants and restaurants.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Phillips? Okay.
The last piece, I guess I should add, is I know Blueback Square still has outside dining. We're still going there. November 29th is our pickup date on that. So we're going to go through the next week's holiday week, but on Monday the 29th, we're picking up the last structures for on-street dining. And again, that's strictly for, it's winter. It's time to
Hardcore.
Time to pick them up, and because snow will come. It will come. I assure you, snow will come. And so we need to be prepared for that. And it provides both the operator and us time to kind of make that winter seasonal shift.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, anything? All right, seeing no questions, thank you again very much. Appreciate it. And hopefully snow won't come too soon. All right, back to you, Mr. Hart.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item is informational as well. If you all could take a look at the drawing that Ms. Johnson and I distributed earlier. This is something town staff has been working on in consultation with Karen and with Ms. Johnson and the other members of the Charter Realty team. We'd like to conduct this as a one-year pilot where we would convert a section of Isham from Memorial to the intersection of New Street to one-way traffic heading in the northbound direction. And we'd like to do that to facilitate some of Charter's tenants' needs, particularly with respect to curbside pickup for dining services, et cetera. We have had a similar configuration in the past. As you may recall, it was actually in the reverse direction to facilitate outdoor dining the previous 2 summers, and that worked relatively well. I would now ask Karen if she could just comment a little bit on what they see as the benefits of the plan and what you've heard from your tenants in particular.
Thank you, Matt. Great job describing our project. As Matt noted, this is really one of the early initiatives of our taking title to the property in the spring. Fortunately, we're a little bit farther along with what I think we might all call COVID recovery. However, restaurants are still having an extremely difficult time as we move into now the winter season. Obviously, we've just heard less outdoor dining. We anticipate, and our tenants anticipate, that curbside pickup will again become a higher percentage of that business. And the reason for this plan is primarily to facilitate those curbside pickup spaces. So although I'm not ready yet to announce the tenant wishes to make that announcement. We have executed a lease for the former Bar Louie space, which is very exciting. We have, I think, a restaurant that everyone in town will enjoy, and we'll welcome them to West Hartford. They also, in the early lease discussion phases, really insisted on having those spaces out front. Through the many conversations with town staff, the determination was made that they are not specifically dedicated to any one tenant, but Cheesecake Factory has also, frankly, from our earliest conversations with them during the due diligence period, noted that this is something that they needed. So this plan, I think, it's fairly simple. We started off with something a little bit more complicated, and after working with the fire marshal, the planner, engineer, obviously John as well, came up with this, which I think is a reasonable compromise. And as Matt noted, we're requesting this for a 12-month period. It involves essentially restriping of the roadway. We're not entirely sure with the current weather that we're going to get that restriping in before the winter. We're hopeful if we get a couple warm days. But essentially, it involves dedicated spaces which are in the blue hatched area. And that would be immediately in front of the former Bar Louie space and immediately in front of Cheesecake Factory. The secondary space we hope to use for a parklet in conjunction with the Town of West Hartford initiatives in the spring for additional outdoor dining. We've initially identified them as striped spaces because of a lot of the operators in that area that are seeking a dedicated, set-aside pickup spaces for whether it's the retailers or the Woof Bakery, which also does a fair amount of grooming. What we're trying to do, frankly, is get people out of what's identified as the square. So the primary pedestrian access, which comes from Noah Webster Walk down to the surface lot, to stop that condition where people are parking there, leaving their flashers on, and leaving their car. We're trying to give them a dedicated spot for that. So that's essentially the objective.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. And so the outdoor dining configuration along with this, can that coexist, or is that not? Thank you.
So the area that's closer to Memorial, the larger blue area, that would not be outdoor dining, of course, over the winter season. So during, again, next spring, that area would be essentially a dedicated parklet. The parklet, I'm sure you've been doing lots of research on all of these topics. You know that it's essentially like a decking on top of the pavement, so it gets removed. And so when that's removed in the fall, again, late fall, those would go back to pickup spaces. So assuming that there's a correlation between additional curbside pickup in the wintertime, less of it in the summer when people are here for outdoor dining.
Thank you. Are there other questions for Ms. Johnson? Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just, right now, we've got the pride flag sort of in the middle there, and I can't see where that is. Do you know if that is preserved through this, or whether we have other options?
Yes, it would be. And we need to refresh the paint on that roughly on an annual basis, which we have been doing.
Okay, thank you.
It's roughly in between the smaller blue areas.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions or comments on this parking? Ms. Fay?
Thank you very much. Karen, I was just curious as to what the metrics would be for the trial period, so you're going to measure things like number of cars, how long they're there, things like that. Like, how will we know that the pilot is successful? Thanks.
It's a good question, and of course, whenever you're talking about essentially using a public resource, I understand that's definitely a driver. I think in this case, we're going to rely on feedback from our tenants, number one, and number two, we're going to rely on feedback from John in terms of operational efficiency and whether or not this really does help to address that issue that currently exists in the square.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Fay. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Anything further? Okay, and so when would the pilot start after that outdoor dining is cleared up, or would that, Mr. Hart?
Yes, that's our plan when we remove the outdoor dining infrastructure, which is scheduled for the end of this month. Again, we're going to try to stripe the road, assuming we have appropriate weather conditions. I can approve this in my role as the town's legal traffic authority. Just wanted to make sure that I had an opportunity to discuss it with you all first and take any feedback or questions you might have.
Thank you. And on occasion, we do have events there and festivals, road races, all those kinds of things, and that would not be problematic for this configuration, correct? There's an understanding.
Correct. We actually think it would be helpful. But we'll still be able to close that section of the road when needed,
Okay.
when desired.
All right. Very good. Seeing nothing further, we will go now to number 12. Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Without objection, move that we adjourn.
Is there any objection? Seeing no objection, the meeting is adjourned, and we will start the town council meeting at 8 o'clock. So go to the bathroom.
Good to see you.
To order our 8 p.m. Town Council meeting. Even though it says a regular council meeting, this is actually a pretty special council meeting because we say goodbye to some of our colleagues and we say hello to new colleagues and then do all of our committee assignments. But we will start with a very exciting Pledge of Allegiance led by Rory and Claire Sweeney, Lilia and Joey Williams, Katie Faye Smith, and Russell Billings Smith and Emma Billings. Please come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, let's go. And face this way, facing the flag, right? Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all so much. How beautiful are they? That's what this is all about. All right, thank you so much. Roll call, Ms. LeBreau.
Ms. Blanks.
Present.
Ms. Cantor.
Here.
Mr. Davidoff.
Here.
Ms. Fay.
Present.
Mr. Gold.
Here.
Ms. Kerrigan is absent. Mr. Sweeney. Here. Mr. Winograd. Here. And Mr. Williams.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I'm going to start by reading a proclamation. This is the next thing on our agenda. This Small Business Saturday is on November 27th, and we will not be meeting again before that date. So I'm just going to read, and this is a really important for many of our community, our small businesses. Whereas this is Small Business Saturday 2021, whereas the COVID-19 pandemic first struck last year, it posed, or actually a year and a half ago, it posed a historic challenge to America's small businesses. From coast to coast in big cities, small towns, rural enclaves, and tribal communities, small business owners and workers demonstrated remarkable courage and resilience adapting to sudden changes in our way of life and stepping up to serve their communities. Whereas the town of West Hartford celebrates our small businesses and their contributions to our local economy and community, we recognize and celebrate the dedication and entrepreneurial spirit within our community. And whereas the owners and operators of small businesses foster economic growth through the creation of jobs and the production of goods and services for people across the state of Connecticut and around the globe, and whereas with the holiday shopping season upon us, the period from Black Friday to Cyber Monday is one of the busiest times of the year for retailers. And Saturday, November 27, 2021, is being observed across the country as Small Business Saturday, celebrating the entrepreneurial spirit of small businesses and highlighting the resourcefulness, ingenuity, and innovativeness of these individuals who are a vital force in driving the economy of our state and nation. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that on behalf of the Town Council and the residents of West Hartford, I, Mayor Sherry G. Cantor, do hereby proclaim November 27, 2021 as Small Business Saturday in the town of West Hartford and urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year. Thank you for doing that. All right, and now we will go to it's not, this is something that we do on the agenda before we get to our new business and certification of our elections. We actually say goodbye to fellow counselors that are leaving us at this time. So we have, and I want to recognize a couple of counselors that we actually did that for, and we recognize in the audience. I think I see Steve Adler in the audience. Steve, you want to give a wave? Counselor Adler, and I think Chris Barnes and his wife Stephanie are here. Thank you for being here. It's good to see you. Yeah, take care. And then we're going to start with our goodbyes we have 3 counselors leaving. We have Beth Kerrigan leaving, Chris Williams leaving, and Lee Gold leaving. So we will start with some goodbyes. And I was wondering, first we're going to say goodbye to we're going to say goodbye to Lee. And so I thought I'd start with Mr. Winograd, and then I'll alternate, if you don't mind, if you want to participate in the goodbye.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. So Lee, it was really a pleasure serving with you for the past 2 years. And especially in the past 2 years, which has been a strange time to serve. Saw you more on Zoom than in person, unfortunately. But what I really want to say, and we did speak on the phone, and I appreciated the phone calls. You did something brave this term. And, you know, one of the greatest things any elected official can do is sacrifice on behalf of a moral finding on your ethics. And you took a stand and didn't help you politically. But really, that's what courage is about. That's what public service is about. And sometimes taking a hard decision. So, you know, that was the spirit you brought to council. And I so much appreciate that. It was a pleasure to serve with you. I will miss you. And thank you very much for your service.
Thank you, Mr. Winograd. I'll go to Ms. Blanks next, and then do you want to be after that? Okay, thank you.
Counselor Gold. So it was definitely a pleasure serving with you, and we started off together in terms of running for council for the last term. And I think what I'll remember most is just the campaign that we started off on, the debates, the mixers, and then we were sworn in, and then we had our first public safety meeting. And at that it wasn't the first public safety, but it was the public safety meeting right before everything shut down for COVID. And what I admired most about you is your hard work and coming to the table and asking the hard questions and talking about the issues that affect everybody and what more we can do for the town and our town residents and our businesses. And I know where your business is with your father. So it's right in my neighborhood. So I know that not only when you talk, but you also walk the talk. And that's part of being a leader. And as Councilor Winograd just said, it was a challenging year, right? And everybody knows that. We don't have to talk about it. And I always believe in you've got to take a stand, right? Even if you are standing alone, you've got to take a stand in order to make a statement and also to believe in your beliefs. And there's other people who are standing right along with you. So I respect you, and I respect what you bring to the table. And as I've said to you before, I know that you're not going anywhere. You are still going to be around in town, and you're still going to be the great leader that you are. And I am hopeful that we will see you back in the very near future. And I wish you all the luck, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Ms. Blanks. Ms. Fay, would you like to go?
Of course. Lee, it's been interesting. It's been a hard 2 years, and the pandemic and everything else, we probably didn't get to meet as much as we would have liked to have. I think it was a hard year for all of us, but it was interesting. It was interesting with your transfer over to the Connecticut Party, and that was a bold move, certainly, and one that I certainly do respect as well. I wish you nothing but the best, as well as your family and your children especially. I know how much you love them, and I know we will cross paths again. So good luck to you, Lee.
Thank you, Ms. Fay. Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Lee, thank you, one, for your service to this town. I think immediately when you arrived here, I think a conversation began between this side and the other side in just regards to just general operations that I think that was missing, and we appreciated it. I think, as everyone has stated, most of your term, unfortunately, was during COVID. But what I always appreciated about you is that you came to every meeting, even the ones that I chaired, that which you weren't a member to, and you were prepared. And more importantly, you were the best dressed person during COVID, without question. Lee was literally the only person who wore a tie. Sometimes we were wearing sweatpants. But it was, yeah. what you had going on, that's your business. But I think everyone appreciated your professionalism, and not only that, but the follow-up conversations we had. We had numerous conversations offline about ideas that you had. You always had an idea of how to do something better, or if it wasn't how to do something better, to learn more about it. And as someone who does that myself, I appreciated that. And I know that this will not be the last time that our paths meet, and I sure hope it. I know I will make sure of that. But I wish you well. I wish you more baseball games in your near future, which I know you will. But again, thank you for your service, and it was an absolute pleasure to serve with you and to get to know you.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So Lee, I guess just to go back in time, when we first started serving together, we talked a lot, and like everyone has said here, you were always prepared, you knew the issues, but it became clear early on that maybe we didn't agree on a lot of things. But you and I kept talking constantly, and we would agree to disagree. We would vet the issues, and we were able to vet the issues because we were both informed, and you were always very informed. You took the position very seriously. You prepared constantly. You were always, polite in the meetings, and you have a good sense of humor. There's no doubt about that. It's funny though, people have left out the one thing about you that stands out to me the most is, no. In the 6 years that I've been on the council, you're the only person to ever correct meeting minutes that I can recall. Does everyone remember that? Stopped a meeting and corrected the fact that Ben voted against climate change and I voted for it, or whatever it was. And only someone who really does a thorough review of the documents is able to do that, and it speaks to your preparation. So I, like everyone else here, wish you the best.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Many of you do not know this. Lee and I are neighbors. And even though we will not be colleagues this upcoming term, we will still be neighbors, and more importantly, friends. Lee, you've brought a professional, well-reasoned approach to your service on the town council. You've served with distinction. I appreciate your positive and creative thinking as to how we can grow the grand list, how we can attract more business to our community, and most importantly, on how we can ease the tax burden on our residents. I admire your willingness and record of standing up for your values and to call out acts of hatred and intolerance. During the past term, you've been an active participant in all council discussions, often offering good ideas on how we can do things differently while serving the public good. Our community is better off because of your service. We've had many discussions offline about council matters. Your keen interest and your dedication and your commitment have not gone unnoticed. Your family, Monica, Jack, and Adam, have been very supportive of your service to the community, and I want to thank them for sharing you for all the hours you spent with us. Lee, I have a feeling that tonight will not be the end of your public service to our community. You have proven yourself to be a leader who is guided by the simple principle of serving the best interests of our town. I am truly confident that we'll be working together in the near future.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. And now I want to say thank you, Monica, Jack, and Adam, as Leon just said, Mr. Davidoff just said, because it is a real significant sacrifice to come to these meetings. And I know by Lee's work at the table and in every meeting, and then just during the day driving around town, that he never stops thinking about how to make things better and innovate and brings ideas to all of us, as you all have heard. He is a detail guy, as Mr. Williams mentioned. He's been in public service, and he's been serving the community for a long time, whether it was a coach, board of his synagogue, or Tumblebrook, chair of Chabad. I saw him start as chair of Chabad at that wonderful gala, and he puts a lot into everything he does. And he reaches out constantly to make sure people are taken care of and feel that they have a voice and a place. He has been a leader not only in all of those community organizations, but in, again, the fight against hate for ADL that Mr. Davidoff mentioned. He really, really, truly, I think the most important trait of an elected official is listening. Lee is a listener. But not only does he listen, he really hears. And he really tried to understand the issues all the way through his these 2 years of a really challenging, this has been a very difficult term to serve, not in a typical way where you can kind of walk out with somebody and ask questions. It took picking up the phone and asking those questions. He's inspired by the opportunities in our community, especially, I think, his love of economic development and just a thriving, vibrant community is the way he wants things to be and is always thinking of ways to make that happen. Lee was really eager to understand issues and provide thoughtful input that was really always prepared, really understanding the context. And I really, truly am sorry to see you go. He was always prepared and engaged, put forward an effort to bring creative ideas without understanding where you've been in a very short period of time, bringing forward really creative ideas. He brought an energy and a commitment to his place on the council, and I guess I should be talking to you, but I'm facing this way, so okay. And I am so really inspired by your courage to make a stand, and one that, again, was not politically expedient for you in any way. It was hard to do, and you earned many, many people's respect, and I know people at this table for sure. I am grateful for your contributions and your kindness, your perspective and your support. And I will say one of the support that it just shined. My husband was out of town and I had my phone and he called I got a phone call, a text that said, "Hi, you need to help me. It's Michael." And I showed it to Lee and Leon, and Lee is like, "You gotta ignore it. This is like somebody's goofing on you. Don't pick it up." And so then it happened again, and Lee said, "Give me your phone. Let me call that number." And sure enough, my husband was stuck on a balcony, couldn't get down. And he was calling from. He didn't have his phone. He was calling from a friend's phone. So you can ask Michael about that. But Lee saved the day. So I appreciate your support. And that was without, and we are bourbon buddies too, but that was not what anyway. But one of the best parts of this term was really truly getting to know you, to have you as a friend, and I will miss your warm and friendly manner, and thank you so much for your service on the council. I have a little, it's in the other room for both of you, but anyway, okay. And now we will say goodbye to Chris. And I think we'll start with, Lee, would you like to go first?
Sure. Chris, it's definitely not going to be a roast, so don't worry about it. There's a lot of people to thank here. You specifically. I remember the first time we talked, we met. It was actually after we got sworn in. We were down at Bar Louie, which I'm excited is going to be something new again. But you talked to me about what was expected. You spoke to me about how to hold yourself and what we needed to do as a team here in council, and how we needed to work towards making West Hartford better for all of us. And it resonated with me, truly did. I think we've had way too many conversations and texts back and forth, and I truly appreciate. I won't miss your counsel because it's going to continue. And I loved our legal discussions back and forth. But it was truly an honor to be able to serve with you. It's something that strikes chords with me in terms of your convictions, your honesty, your true appreciation for our town, and true appreciation for your convictions about what is important to you and how it translates to the council and to the town. and it resonates. And I think all of West Hartford truly is losing an amazing counselor. And, you know, I'm leaving with you, so I guess we're going together. But you know, I'll miss you sitting at the table or seeing you on TV in the future. But I will certainly continue our conversations and our breakfasts. So thank you for everything you do and have done.
Thank you, Mr. Gull. Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have really enjoyed serving with Chris Williams on the West Hartford Town Council. Chris and I have served for many years on the Public Safety Committee. We all know that public safety is viewed as one of the top priorities of our community, and town councilors take it quite seriously. Chris demonstrated that he's always well prepared for the topics to be discussed and would often present a reasonable alternative viewpoint to the conversation. The term Fitch study will always remind me of Chris Williams. During the review of the fire department operations, Chris honestly pointed out his view as to how to make the department more effective and more efficient. While we often disagreed with the interpretation of the concepts mentioned in the study, our disagreement was professional, not personal. Further, I always felt that there was a mutual respect for each other's opinion. We as a town are better served by your active participation in the discussions that occurred around this table. Chris, you have distinguished yourself as a logical thinker, an advocate for minority viewpoints at times. You've always been considerate and kind. Before many of our council meetings, you and I would have a brief discussion on how our kids and family were doing, and it's so great and wonderful to see the family here this evening. Chris was always able to balance getting his kids to daycare or school, and always found the time to attend committee meetings and council meetings. One of my proudest moments on this town council, during my 14 years so far, was working with Chris and town staff to update the town zoning ordinance with respect to drive-through restaurants. Each of our virtual meetings was focused, was centered on bringing reasonable change that will best serve the interest of our entire community. And the highlight was when this ordinance was adopted by unanimous vote of this council. While this was a small policy change, it highlighted that members from both sides of the political aisle can work collaboratively to bring about the change. For this, I am forever grateful to you, Chris. Chris, I want to thank you and your family for all the time you have spent working diligently on behalf of the residents of West Hartford. Our community has been enriched by your service, and I can honestly say I will miss serving with you in the days ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. Mr. Sweeney?
So, for those of you who don't know, everyone on this council knows by now, Chris and I have been following each other basically since middle school. It started on the Harry's Pizza illustrious rec basketball team, and then our phenomenal skills brought us to West Hartford travel basketball, where we won no championships. Actually, I think, Chris, your team was pretty good. Mine was terrible. But the big thing about Chris and I's relationship is I think that it embodies kind of why we both served. It was just a really great thing to know every time we came here that we had someone who we grew up with in town and cared about this community as much as we did. Even though we were on the other side of the aisle on a lot of issues, we constantly talked. Talking about paths following one another. We would probably do a meeting here and then go drop our kids off or pick them up at the same daycare. That we had, both were downtown in Hartford. And because of that, I think Chris and I, I'll speak, grew much closer than we were growing up. But furthermore, my wife went to high school with Chris. I was on the other side of town at Hall while Chris was at Conard. But what was so great about it is that we both connected on the fact of being, young men coming up grew up in this town, loved this community, and wanted to serve it in the ways that we felt that was appropriate. And today, it is really sad to see you go because I just appreciated your your company, your audience, your perspective, but more so just talking about the duties of off of this council, but as a young parent. It is tough to see you go, but I know that Holly will be very happy to have you home. You will be truly missed. I will be checking in with you quite a bit, but it is really sad to see you go, but we will miss you terribly here, and thank you so much for everything you've done for this town, Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Ms. Blanks?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And Councilor Williams, I too am going to be sad to see you go. And I remember when I first started this elected process was when I was going on the board and you were coming on the council. And you were very kind, and you'd always speak to me and ask me how it was going and how's the campaign going. And I would then return the same, kind words back to you. And then when I got elected to the council and we were in public safety meeting, and this was the first meeting when we were at the PD, and you came in, and you were very pepperish. You was like, okay, so I'd like to know about this, and I'd like to know about this. And I said, ooh, he's a whippersnapper. And you were keeping everybody on their toes because you wanted to make sure that we were being good stewards of our funds and how they were being spent. And I respect that about you. And I enjoyed serving with you on this council because you brought that same temperament to this table. But more importantly, because what many people, don't realize is we do this work in front of the cameras, but the real work is behind the cameras, especially when we participate in different events around town. It's important because that's how our residents want to see us, that we care about the community and we participate in the events. So the parades or other types of events, that it's important that we show up. And I always admired that you would have your children with you. And I think about that because I did the same thing with mine. I know that you're a family man, and as Councilor Sweeney said, your family is looking forward to having you at home. But we enjoyed, and I enjoyed you here at the table because I like to believe that we're a family here as well on the council, just an extended family. So I will miss you, but I'm sure that I will see you around town, and I look forward to the great things that you're going to be doing after this.
Thank you, Ms. Blanks. Ms. Fay?
This is hard. This is hard. This is probably, well, they're all hard. It was hard for Chris Barnes too. So I think back, this is hard. I'm sorry. I met him when I first got involved, and through Chris Williams and Chris Barnes and Stephanie Barnes and Denise, I took on the challenge to run with them. And if it wasn't for Chris, I don't know if I would have made it through the first campaign. He was great. He showed me the ropes, along with Chris Barnes and Stephanie as well. I remember those nights where you were trying to train me. Sometimes I'm not trainable, but I tried to be. But you were really kind and really extended your knowledge, and you were very generous about that. I remember going out with you, and I see Kevin back there too, and Dennis, and really hitting the pavement every single solitary weekend. And it was always fun to go out with you. I really enjoyed it. We had some great talks along the way. You're a great mentor and role model, and I think you putting us together were probably one perfect person. You got me being the volatile, crazy one. You got Chris being the measured, reasoned, smart, calm one. So I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss your advice. I'm going to miss you a lot. But I think one thing about you that will really impress you is my mother used to campaign with me all the time. She was my biggest cheerleader, and she met Chris, and my dad did too. And my mother said, it was the biggest compliment you're ever going to get. She said, he reminds me of my son, Joey. And tall, smart, blonde, handsome. And she did, and you remember that, and you blushed. But I remember that, and then I started calling him my little brother. So Joey, then when I found out your son was named Joey, it was really, really something else. But I'm going to miss you very much, and I hope I can still rely on you and your counsel and your advice. And good luck and best wishes. And I can't say goodbye because I know this is not the end for you. I'm expecting really big things from you. Really big. Really big. And I'm sure you will achieve them.
Thank you,
So
Ms.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Fay. Mr. Winograd?
Thank you. So Chris, we joined this council together and 6 years ago. And one thing we bonded immediately with was hearing other council people refer to the newbies and make comments like, well, we have to explain how, a bill becomes a law for those people who are new. And it was repeated, and we kind of, after a while, and I think it probably lasted about, 2 years, and we would shoot a glance across the table and crack up at that sort of repetition. Barnes was the worst about it, but but there were a few others on my side that I could point to as well. But then over the years, so that was fun. But then over the years, we kind of had a lot of fun with the fact that, we disagreed about just about every issue. And remarkably, on all those issues, you were wrong. And yet, nevertheless, and also remarkably, I was always right, which is, coincidentally. But over the years, what you modeled really well is, again, always, and others have stated it before, you were ready. You had, your view, you presented it so well. You were prepared, you'd go through, and people talk about, Lee's details, and yes, thank you for correcting that error where we flipped a vote to both of our chagrin. But I think that, even not just detailed and small points, but on the big stuff, you were so ready for it, and then would present your case. And I know you're a litigator, and I can see how well you'll be with a jury. You'd present the case, and it was compelling. And it was done in a way, again, albeit wrong, but compelling. But it was done in a way that, there's no grandstanding. There's no pounding on the table. There's no raising your voice. You simply presented facts and interpretation. And we always had to pay attention. And we always had to be on top of our game, right, to say, okay, well, Chris came up with that really good point. Is there a counter to it? And that, frankly, made the whole council stronger. And the policies that we did enact, often against your vote, but are better policies. And we addressed those, those legitimate issues you would raise. So I really am going to miss you. I think that you added so much to the town. And I'm just going to, hope that we can continue that kind of dialogue. And I do just want to say, I am thrilled to have Chris Barnes here today. Your partnership was just so much fun to watch. And I know that Chris was a little bit more surprised at all the nice words we said about him when he left, which were perfectly genuine but shocked him a bit. We know this story. It's hilarious, but, glad we got you by being nice. But with Chris Williams, we all knew, and he knew what we were going to say, because that's the kind of person he is, and it comes back to you. The other one thing... But I will say just one more thing is that I am very grateful. I had a momentary bit of panic at this election until I realized that your replacement is even below me in the alphabet as well. So I thought I was going to end up last, losing you, but fortunately we've been bested by somebody in the alphabetical sweepstakes. So I'll stay second from the bottom or the top, depending on the tyranny of alphabetical order. But we share that as well. So again, thank you. And I look forward to many more talks. And yes, your angry emails that I will be expecting.
Thank you, Mr. Winograd. So lots been said, but Holly, thank you for letting him do this and supporting him in doing this. Lilia and Joey, you should be really proud of your dad. He is a wonderful person, and as you can hear from all of our comments, we all feel that way very strongly. Your parents are incredible supporters, Chris, Denise, and Paul, and have been right alongside of you much of the way. And when I watched you and your family grow, I actually really felt like, geez, I hope my sons have this, and I hope they rise to the person that you are. Being a committed public servant, a gentleman, a committed father, a wonderful husband, and a good friend. And I really believe all that. And so thank you for being an example for a lot of people, especially your own children. So you are a committed, consistent, and honest public servant. You care for the town deeply, and that is true in every decision that you make. You truly believe that what you stand for is what is in the best interest of the town. And again, like my colleagues have said, even though I didn't agree with you all the time, and much of the time, I always respected your thoughtful and sincere insight, and tried to see things your way, and you enlightened all of us at many moments. You were always prepared and always present. You took a strong interest in public safety, as we talked about, and the future of the fire department. And I know you were really frustrated at times, but you never made it personal. Your feedbacks, your comments, criticism and feedback were always issue and policy based, and again, never personal. I will say I was really moved a couple of times when you showed your true disappointment and pain at some of the really challenging times in the last couple of years. And it brought you to emotion that we didn't always see from you. And I respected you so much for that. I know you want our town to do better, you want our state to do better, you want our country to do better, and that shows. I enjoyed seeing you at many community events. You really did go to a number of things, and it was always so wonderful to see you. You were always so friendly, demonstrating your commitment and support throughout the town. But I especially enjoyed seeing you at the Feast on the Farm with your beautiful wife, Holly. And that was always a wonderful tradition to see you there. We need public servants like Chris, people that show respect, again, are issue-based and policy-based. You have those. You bring that knowledge to the table and you discuss them. I'm eternally grateful for your friendship and your honorable service, and I thank you so much for everything that you do. And I hope neither of you are done with public service, because you're both incredible. So thank you so much. All right, I have a statement. Beth isn't here. So tonight we're also saying goodbye to our friend and colleague, Beth Kerrigan. Beth was a tireless advocate fighting for the rights of the marginalized. Ever since I met her about 20 years ago, but really got to know her about 10 years ago. Beth and her wife, Jody Mock, fought passionately for marriage equality years before the U.S. Supreme Court settled the issue for good in 2013. In 2004, Beth and Jody filed a lawsuit against the state of Connecticut after being denied a marriage license. While same-sex civil unions were allowed in Connecticut, marriage equality was not. They fought hard for the good, and because of their bravery and the fight that they fought, they won their court case in 2008, making marriage equality legal in Connecticut. It would be another 5 years before the right was extended to all Americans. We've come a long way in a short period of time, and that is all thanks to courageous women and men like Beth Kerrigan. Beth brought the same passion to her community here in West Hartford. She volunteered for local candidates, running for office, making phone calls, canvassing, licking stamps, stuffing envelopes, and poll standing. All things we know well at this table. As a member of this town council and as deputy mayor, she continued her advocacy, always accessible to her constituents. She loved and excelled at being of and with the community. We wish Beth could have been here tonight so that we all could thank her publicly. Nevertheless, we thank her for her tireless efforts and wish her only the best in her future work. Our best wishes and thanks to Beth, to Jody, Carlos, and Fernando for sharing her with our community. And so I want to give a big round of applause for these three public servants that have served us. get a chair. And the plaque on Lee says West Hartford Town Council, 11/19/2019 to 11/16/2021. And Chris Williams, as I trip over the chairs, West Hartford Town Council, 11/17/2015 to 11/16/2021. And Beth Kerrigan, West Hartford Town Council, 11/17/2015 to 11/16/2021. And Deputy Mayor, 11/21/2017 to 11/19/2019. Again, thank them, and I have a little bag for you guys too. I'll be right there. That's probably an awkward moment. I meant to leave it up here, but the board was here. Okay, it's just a little something. There's a little gift bag for your family and a little blanket to keep you warm. And thank you so much. Okay. All right, and I don't know whether you come and get these or you. All right, and now we kick you away. So. And you, actually, it's now your turn. You have the mic. So, do you want to start with Mr. Gove?
Please.
Mr. Gove, why don't you go first? Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Seniority, sorry.
We're going reverse alphabetical order, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, it has certainly been an interesting couple of years. I remember sitting in the audience about 2 years ago, waiting to get sworn in, thinking about two things. Why is this taking so long? And what the heck did I get myself into? Well, last word should be brief, and I really will try. First, while I know she doesn't want me to, I want to thank my wife Monica and both my boys, Jack and Adam, for supporting me in my endeavors through this process. I've always tried to be true to myself and be a role model for my boys and my children. I do need to thank all those sitting around the table here. I know I've spoken with a lot of them, a lot of you. I don't want to belabor the point and drone this on and roast every single one of you. I will not do that. But I simply say thank you for serving and making my 2 years rewarding and certainly a memorable experience in a lot of different ways. And truly thank you for all your kind words. Appreciate it. So I didn't think I'd be getting a chair this soon and sharing it with Chris, but who knows what the future is going to hold. This is a thankless job, but rewarding nonetheless, truly. We all have been elected to West Hartford to serve our town. There's special thanks with sincere appreciation, gratitude, and showing us all what it truly means to have a sense of obligation for public service. Someone I'm truly fortunate to call my friend, Mayor Cantor, Sherry, thank you for everything. Matt Hart, hi. I think I've known you for about half my life, actually, from going back to law school. Most people don't know that, but we actually went to law school together at UConn. Your stewardship and leadership have been more than we could have hoped for our town. Your team was called upon during a state of emergency and responded with the utmost professionalism and drive to overcome any seemingly insurmountable task, and it starts from the head down. So I appreciate everything you've done. Corporation Counsel, I'm going to start with Gina first because you're here, and I'm a little jealous that Dallas actually is in Disney World. But I remember our first conversation, and it was more of filling the potholes in town, and it dealt with lights on Orchard Road, and we got to the end of that very quickly. I know Dwayne Martin was involved in that. He told me no, and I said, no, we're going to get this done. And we came up with a solution and got it to the finish line. I really appreciate your help. What you did there was great. And Dallas is, well, just Dallas. Both of you always have the answer seemingly at your fingertips. And I know he's not here, but I'm sure he's watching virtually, or at least will watch this later on. I applaud all of your knowledge and your professionalism. Our public safety leaders, in no particular order, but Chief Priest, Chief Riddick, and Amy Kraus, what you've done through this pandemic, you're really the right people at the right time. And that's really, to lead this town in that capacity was above and beyond the call, but nonetheless was the call, and everybody came to what they needed to do. When I first took the oath of office here, I would not have expected everything that we were dealt. A global pandemic, social unrest, a political shift polarizing our country. We saw this leading up to and including the events of January 6th. One of the reasons why I found it necessary to actually leave the Republican Party, readjust, and begin a new party focused on issues here in West Hartford. I've always tried to focus on our town, and I thank the West Hartford residents for their trust in me in that philosophy. We have accomplished a great deal through these last 2 years. We fought the pandemic. We've lost some, more than others. But I think we as a town have become stronger and learned how better to work together. We issued pension obligation bonds and now have fully funded pension. We have outdoor dining in our center and other strategic areas in town, which I think is amazing, and we probably should continue that trend and maybe even close some streets and have nice promenades. But I started that at the beginning too. We have begun to look at how we can do more with less, and I think that's an important concept to take away from these last 2 years. The purchase of St. Bridget's School was a great first step. A combination of a community center and a library will only enhance our town and bring more to vital areas of our town, and not just necessarily in West Hartford Center, but other areas that are vital and important, as Carol and I have talked about in the past as well. We are looking at ways to curb our pollution, become more carbon-free, more environmentally friendly town. And I mean, we need to approach this. We need to deal with this. We witness firsthand climate change and the shifts in what we're experiencing. We have begun and continue to fight hate in all of its forms, from racism to anti-Semitism. And I know, and we should, and continue to do more. It's important. It's imperative. And through democracy and a free election that was fair, we've established and legitimized the rebirth of an independent party here in West Hartford, which I'm very proud of. I have hope for our future, and I look forward to continuing to serve my town, our town, and community in whatever form it takes. I thank you all for this opportunity. It's been a great ride, and it's not over yet.
Thank you, Mr. Gold. Mr. Williams.
For the last time, thank you, Madam Mayor. I really appreciate everyone's words, particularly with my kids in the audience. One of the reasons I really wanted them here tonight was because it's a goal of mine that they would remember their father serving, so that even if it wasn't in the capacity as a elected official, that they, when they're adults, volunteer or serve their community in some capacity. And your words tonight in front of them means the world to me. Alberto, Adrian, Mark, when I was in your seat 6 years ago, Burke Dorr pulled out a book and read a chapter. And it was like 45 minutes, his speech. That happened. Right? Yeah. So in any event, I'll try to be as quick as possible. So this whole experience, in my family, when we have birthday parties, the birthday boy or girl, everyone goes around the table and says something nice about them. It's like super uncomfortable for the birthday person, but everyone else gets a kick out of it. So this was uncomfortable, but I appreciate it very much. I wrote a really kind of long speech because I had a hard time putting my thoughts together for tonight, because when you're talking about an issue, it's about the issue. So you educate yourself and you talk about the issue. Tonight it's strange because I'm saying goodbye to the town council. But what I wanted to emphasize was how much my service here on this council has made me love the United States of America even more. For two reasons that stick out to me. Number one, the local officials who make the decisions that impact you the most. It's like your zoning, your property values, your taxes, your roads, your schools. And those are the same folks you're going to see in the grocery store. You're going to see them in the park. They're going to have their kids in class with your kids. And so they're really most accountable to you. And I think it's an amazing system we have, that the people who make the decisions that most impact you face you every day. It's a wonderful thing. And the second thing I was going to say just globally, it was much longer. But is that, the United States is extraordinary for all its flaws, for the opportunities it provides folks. My dad was born in real poverty, and his father had a third grade education. He painted ships, he roofed, he drove trucks, and his 5 kids. And my dad, one generation later, moved me here when I was 2. And although, it's town council, it's volunteer, it's not Congress, it means something. And the idea that we live in a country where one generation removed from poverty, somebody can serve on a government board is a great thing. And it's just something that I want my kids to remember. We live in a great place. Okay, and you don't get anywhere without any help. So I just want to thank folks. First the Lord for my blessings, not the least of which is my wife, Holly. And it's not just because you're beautiful. You're also brilliant, kind, and very strong. And in retrospect, the timing of my first run was absolutely absurd. Joey was 3 months old, and we were just getting our footing as parents and working professionals, but Holly always had my back. I have hers. And I told her on every election night that no matter what happens, I'm still going to be the luckiest guy because I get to leave with you. And that still goes tonight. My little rock stars, Lily and Joey, very special in every way. Joey's getting a little embarrassed. These past 2 years, COVID has been a real challenge, and adults have made a lot of decisions, some good, not so good. You guys rose up and made lemonade out of lemons every single time. You're brave, kind, smart, beautiful. You're my heroes, as you know. Batman and Flash have nothing on either of you. And like we always talk about, always remember to keep standing up for what you believe in, even if you're the only one in the room. We talk about President Bush, President Obama, both ran for Congress and got beat badly. But they didn't give up, they became president, And that's the kind of never giving up that you guys need to practice and do practice. And in their own ways, they've been really supportive and interested in the town council, always asking questions about, well, what's so-and-so like? What do they think? Blah, blah, blah. And one of the things that's kind of funny is, and this is a story that embarrasses Lily, I don't know why, but with her permission, I'm going to tell it tonight, which is she had a project at school a couple years ago where she had to draw a picture of a public official. And she told me this. I was like, oh, it's going to be me, She opens it. It's you. And I think the reason I find that so funny is because, but it was her way of saying like, hey, Dad, I'm interested in what you're doing. I'm interested in the public service, and it's remarkable. Well, tonight is also Lily's birthday. And so I was thinking perhaps we could say, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lily. Happy birthday to you. Thank you so much. I'm in trouble now with her, I think. Want to thank my folks. They couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately, but I wouldn't be able to have run for office or be anything without them in the lessons that they have taught me. Want to thank Chris Barnes, of course, Denise Hall. They were mentors in every sense of the word. I love working with them. They're friends, and part of the magic of being involved in politics is the people you meet along the way, the friendships that you have, and of course their spouses, Tom and Stephanie. I mean, I talk to Stephanie now more than I do to Chris, because Chris won't always return my calls. I want to thank Gina for your service. I want to thank Dallas, who's in Disney World. but it's surprising because I always thought the most magical place on earth was sitting next to Mr. Hart. Essie, I want to thank you for always being a consummate professional. Jen Evans, I know you're watching. You work hard, make sure that government has oversight, which it needs, and you always provide that and work tirelessly. Mr. Hart, really enjoyed working with you over these last several years. The thing I admire about you is your very even temperament. And, you know, we haven't, which is a good quality for a leader, and we haven't always agreed. And even though I know there were times when you thought I was just way off, you were always even, and, you know, you might have had some choice words or some emotions, but they never came through, never once. And I think one of your strengths is your hiring, you know, the talent that you hire. And to that end, like people have mentioned tonight, I've had the privilege to serve on public safety, and we have Chief Priest back here, who's just a great fire chief. And he and I have had disagreements on policy, real disagreements, but he's a world-class fire chief. He's a great guy. And it's been a privilege to work with him. Next to him is newly minted Assistant Chief Rickabon, another great guy. The town is really lucky to have him. And of course, Chief Riddick, who is just a great police chief. And you got to see him speak on his feet. I mean, he's unbelievable. Just check out his speech yesterday with Chief Rickabon. So we're really lucky. All the incredible department heads, got Mr. Phillips here tonight, been privileged to serve with you. And all the other department heads, we have a lot of talent here in town. I remember when Chris's last night, he said, I'm sure many of you don't like me, but I've enjoyed working with you. And I have that feeling with some of the department heads, because, you know, being in the minority position, you challenge, you know, but I really do appreciate all your service and work. Dennis, you're here. Sean, thank you. Steve, Kevin Adams, Mary. I mean, you guys, all of you. I've really enjoyed working with every single one of you. I could go down the list. You know, Mayor, you work so hard. I know it's a volunteer position. Leon, I remember you were one of the people who encouraged me to run. We were getting voting results back from King Philip one night. It's been a pleasure to serve with you. Liam, you know, it's we've been living a very similar path, and I always appreciate your work, and I'm excited to see you continuing to serve. Carol, I love what you've done with your hair. You always, no, I'm serious. But, you know, you're a very warm person. I've always enjoyed working with you, and thank you for, you know, your kind words. Ben, you know, you and I disagree, and you're very fiery. But, you know, we've had coffee and a lot of laughs. Lee, it's been a pleasure to serve with you. Good luck with everything. And, you know, I've said some things about you tonight I meant them. Mary, likewise. You know, I wish you the best of luck in your new position as minority leader. You know, there's going to be a lot of issues coming up this term, and I wish you luck. You know, I have enjoyed working with you. My brother is here. He has always been supportive, and he is a voice of moderation. So, you know, I love bouncing things off with him because he gives me a different perspective. My sister, who's not here because she lives in D.C., I love to speak to her and talk to her. And bouncing things off her is not always as fruitful because she's left of Ben. She makes Ben look like a conservative Republican. Joan, I'm kidding. So congratulations. I'm almost done. Congratulations, Mark, Adrian, Alberto. I hope you find this experience as rewarding as I have. It's really wonderful. To Alberto in particular, I'm thrilled that this seat, this physical seat, the people seat that I have happened to occupy for 6 years will now be occupied by you. your election is historic, and really proud to see what you do on the council. I was going to close with a dramatic quote, but so to me, I just want to leave you guys a thought as you start your new I want to leave you guys with a thought as you start your new term, which is, quote, "Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. I encourage you all to debate substance and not motives, which I know you're going to do. And lastly, my heart is one of service. I'll continue to serve, whether as a coach, volunteer in the future. And so thank you, West Hartford. I love you."
Behind you in a drive-thru. Okay.
You guys are gonna have to go together. You'll have a date.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Jim.
Calling on Mark Sedanowitz, Alberto Cortez, and Adrian Billings-Smith. Come on up.
Yes, it is. I'll grab it. I brought my iPad.
While our new counselors are getting seated, I just want to give a congratulations. Prior to this meeting, our Board of Education was just sworn in as well with new elections of their leaders. Lorna Thomas Ferguson is the chair. I think Deb Pullen is the vice chair, correct? And then we have new counselors, Claire Taylor Nasarella, Gail Harris, Dr. Gail Harris, and Ethan Goldman, who currently serves on our pension board, but probably not as of right now, not serving on the pension board. And then Ari Steimer and Jason Chang also was elected. So again, congratulations and thank you for your service. So so you'll do all of us together?
Yes, I'm going to certify the election. I, Essie LeBreau, Town Clerk of West Hartford, hereby certify that the following persons were elected to the West Hartford Town Council for a term from November 16th, 2021 to November 21st, 2023, and they are Adrian Billings-Smith, Carol A. Blanks, Sherry Cantor, Alberto Cortez, Leon S. Davidoff, Mary Fay, Liam B. Sweeney, Ben Winograd, and Mark Sedanowitz. I further testify that the results of the town election were canvassed and attested to by the head moderator of the election, Kenneth Russo, and the results have been recorded in the electors' meeting book of the town of West Hartford. So if you'd like to come, all the counselors come up and I'll give you the oath. If you want to join them. And if you will hold up your right hands, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm, as the case may be, that you will faithfully discharge, according to law, your duties as a member of the West Hartford Town Council to the best of your abilities, so help you God, or on penalty of perjury? Congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. LeBreau. She keeps us all on task. Okay, now the next item on the agenda is a call for nomination for council president. Okay, is there a nomination? Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It is my privilege and honor this evening to nominate Sherry Cantor as president of the West Hartford Town Council. Prior to becoming mayor in May of 2016, Sherry served as our deputy mayor and did so with distinction. Sherry is a lifelong West Hartford resident. She grew up here, and along with her husband Michael, they raised their 4 sons here. Sherry is so proud of her children, and rightfully so. Josh and his wife Teresa, Sam, Ben, and Jacob. And Sherry's mom Rose still lives in the house that Sherry grew up in. The Cantor family has always taken an active role in making West Hartford the best place to live and to raise a family. Sitting on the sidelines is not the Cantor way. The entire family gets involved in many volunteer activities in order to serve the needs of many in our community. During this pandemic, I have witnessed firsthand Sherry Cantor in action. Sherry is very compassionate, caring, empathetic, a person who doesn't stop giving until everyone she encounters has their needs met. With her exceptional organizational and leadership skills, Sherry mobilizes teams of professionals and volunteers to get the task done. Our community is so fortunate to have Sherry as its leader. She demonstrated sincere concern for the health and well-being of all of our residents, our first responders, our teachers, and our town employees. She has worked nonstop to make certain that a logical plan has been in place to address the risks presented by the virus. She was out front in terms of meeting the needs of our business community. She demonstrated that she was ready, that she's a responsible leader who is responsive to the ever-changing needs of our fine community. I personally have learned so much from Sherry. Her willingness to share her time, her knowledge, and her commitment to our community are unmatched and unequal. Our town's finances are on steady footing because Sherry has worked so diligently over the years on so many budgets that are fiscally responsible and meet the priorities of our community. Her leadership and the issuance of the pension obligation bonds will save our taxpayers tens of millions of dollars in the future. Sherry represents our town well on regional boards such as CCM and CROG. Her voice is respected. When Sherry speaks, her peers listen. Sherry is one of the most civic-minded individuals in our region. Her volunteer activities include serving on the Board of Trustees for our alma mater, the University of Connecticut, chair of the Foundation of Connecticut Children's, on the board at Food Share, and so many more. During my 14 years of service on the council, I have witnessed that Sherry Cantor gets things done. Highlights that I can recall that Sherry has done in the past that many of you may not be aware of was that Sherry works very diligently to make West Hartford a heart-healthy community and to raise the importance of living a healthy lifestyle. Sherry was instrumental in the town implementing the pink trash cans we see on Trash Day. She worked alongside council colleagues to bring the award-winning Complete Streets policies to our town. Further, she has shown an honest commitment to a clean energy plan that works on sustainability and conservation. And let's not forget, she has supported our senior community, often attending senior advisory committee meetings, and helped to reinvigorate the senior job bank. With her vision, her dedication to our community, and her genuine love of our town, West Hartford's future is bright. She will continue to be an amazing leader for our community. Sherry is very capable, very honorable, very warm and caring, and the hardest volunteer unpaid mayor in the entire state of Connecticut. I proudly nominate my colleague and my friend Sherry Cantor to serve as president of our council and to continue to serve as mayor of the town of West Hartford as she works hard to make a great town even better.
Thank you, Mr. David. It's really hard. Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Blanks.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Over the last term, my first term, Sherry Cantor led this council through major unexpected hurdles and unprecedented challenges as the great leader she is. She collaborated with many leaders from different backgrounds and areas of expertise to restore normalcy to where we reside, work, and dine. She invited community groups and residents to the table and allowed voices to be heard. Voices that turned into action, and action that brought about change. What I respect most about Sherry Cantor is she listens to everyone, welcomes inclusivity, she is firm and considerate. She is the hometown girl, now woman, that identifies with the veteran, students and families with special needs, the neighbor who just moved to town to escape the big city, the business owner struggling to remain in business. At the end of the day, because of her strengths, wisdom, and vision, West Hartford continues to be a magnet for so many. I am humbled and honored to second the nomination for Sherry Cantor to lead this council as president, mayor, for another term.
Really hard. Thank you very much, Carol. Thank you, Ms. Blanks. Okay, now we'll call for a nomination. Oh, you have to vote. Sorry. So, a motion, Mr. Sweeney.
Make a motion.
Actually, it probably should be Mr. Davidoff,
Yeah.
but Mr. David.
We already passed.
Madam Mayor, I would move that all nominations be closed and that we cast a vote at this point.
Thank you. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, call for nomination for Council Vice President. Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and congratulations on your election by this board to be president of the council and to continue your service. It's my distinct honor to nominate my colleague and my friend, Liam Sweeney, to be vice president of the West Hartford Town Council, or as more commonly referred to be deputy mayor. Liam grew up in town. He attended Morley, KP, and Hall, and lives with his wife Whitney, his children Rory and Claire in the Morley neighborhood. And within the next few weeks, the Sweeneys will welcome a third child. There are definitely exciting times happening at the Sweeney household. While Liam has an active family life, professionally he is quite busy as well. As a principal in Penn Strategies, a lobbying firm, Liam has the experience and knowledge to understand the legislative process, which has proven to be quite helpful in navigating issues that relate to a state and local partnership. Over the past 4 years, I've witnessed Liam's dedication and commitment to the work of the council. Liam has actively participated in all council decisions, arriving well prepared to discuss the issue at hand. In addition to being present in person or virtually for meetings, Liam has been visible in the community, attending a wide variety of events and conversations that affect our community. I've learned a lot from Liam in terms of the use of technology and how it allows us to better connect to our constituents. During this past term, Liam was tasked with chairing one of the 2 special committees of the council. Under his leadership, he demonstrated that he has the skill set to be a good leader. He listens, he shares, he's driven towards results, and he really enjoys working collaboratively with his colleagues. One of the things that Liam is most compassionate about is meeting the needs of the youth of our community. His input will be critical as we develop the concepts for the use of the St. Bridget property. Our town's future is bright as individuals like Liam step up to leadership positions. Liam will bring a positive spirit and energy to the role of deputy mayor. His willingness to serve in this capacity is quite welcome, and I am certain that he will serve our community with distinction. I ask all of my colleagues to join me this evening in supporting Liam Sweeney to be the next deputy mayor of the town of West Hartford.
Thank you very much, Mr. David. Ms. Billings-Smith, first time.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's my honor to second Councilor Liam Sweeney tonight for Deputy Mayor of Town Council. Throughout his time on Town Council, Councilor Sweeney has shown his ability to lead, be a team player, and is always up for a challenge. Liam serves not to be in a position of power, but to actually be of service to his community that he has grown up in and has continued to raise his children. He is dedicated and committed to West Hartford's future, and throughout his career on Town Council, he has ensured our children and families are provided with the services and resources they need, especially the purchase of St. Bridget property. Liam has played an integral part in creating space for residents that may have traditionally been lost in the crowd by giving them the attention and care their voice and concerns deserve. Liam is a friend, a champion for our children, and a true leader. Liam's integrity and commitment to our community is vital to its continued growth. Therefore, as I said before, it is my honor to second the nomination of Councilor Sweeney for Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Billings-Smith. So all those, I don't think there's any other calls for Deputy Mayor. All those in favor, I make a motion to nominate Council Vice President. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously again. Congratulations, Liam. Our next item is appointment of council clerk. But before we move this, Essie, could you make an introduction?
Sure. This is Nadia Khan, our new assistant town clerk, and she is joining us from the city of Newton, Massachusetts, where they have 24 town councilors. We're very excited to have her and joining our team.
Yay, welcome. Welcome, Nadia. Okay, Mr. Sweeney.
Madam Mayor, I move that we appoint Essie LeBreau as the council clerk.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yay, the ayes have it. Motion is adopted. Mr. Sweeney, the adoption of the temporary rules.
Madam Mayor, I move adoption of the resolution adopting temporary rules. Before we proceed with the debate, I would like to move to amend the resolution to correct the name of the council committee. The amendment is to correct the name of the council committee from council management to council affairs and governance. It was an error entitled and temporarily in the temporary standing rules.
Second.
The question is on the amendment to the resolution. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Attorney Verano, do you want to just explain? I think it's probably clear, but.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the temporary standing rules that are before you tonight are the same ones that were adopted by the previous council, except for 2 substantive changes. The first one is in Section 1A, Roman at number 2, and that extended the deadline by which the town council could adopt its budget That deadline was extended by virtue of an executive order issued by Governor Lamont. We know that that executive order has expired, so the rule allowing you to extend the deadline has been deleted, and the Town Council must now adopt its budget in accordance with the deadline set forth in the Town Charter. The second is the council committees. They've been consolidated, and the number of committees has been reduced from the existing 8 standing committees to 6 standing committees. And I defer to you, Madam Mayor, for further explanation of those changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Verano. So we moved what was previously called the Ed Liaison Committee to the Finance and Administration Committee. We would meet prior to budget, and I've reached out to the Board of Education in discussion with the town manager, and we felt it was probably most appropriate if the Board of Education presents in Finance and Administration their budget, and so that's a way to do that. Ed Liaison issues can come over under our new governance committee, which is our Council Affairs and Governance Committee, that will that was called a governance committee now, but is really all of council affairs, which will include committee population, making sure that we have enough people on committees that are functioning, and additionally, federal government, state, and other municipal government entities, local boards, commissions, all of that will fall under this committee, and as well as the rules. We actually had separated out the Rules Committee. We folded that into the Council Affairs and Governance Committee, hopefully for more efficiency, and so that's a description of that. So now the question is on the adoption. Are there any questions or comments? Okay. The question is on the adoption of the amended resolution. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. And now the appointments to the council committees as outlined in the amended rules, temporary rules. So I hereby appoint the following counselors to each committee. Community Planning and Economic Development Committee, otherwise known as CPED. The chair is Leon Davidoff. The vice chair is Ben Winograd. The minority member is Mark Sedanowitz. This has cognizance of all matters related to planning, zoning, code enforcement, economic development, and engineering. Finance and Administration, the chair is Lam Sweeney. Vice Chair Leon Davidoff, and the minority member is Mary Fay. This has cognizance of all matters related to the operational budget and capital improvement program, appropriations to Board of Education, auditing and financial oversight, and general government operations, and the approval of settlement of tax appeals negotiated by legal counsel and staff. Council Affairs and Governance Committee, Chair Sherry Cantor, Vice Chair Lam Sweeney, minority member Mary Fay. This is the one I just described. Human and Community Services Committee will be chaired by Adrian Billings-Smith. Vice Chair Lam Sweeney, minority member Alberto Cortez. Shall have cognizance of all matters related to leisure and social services, community development, federal and state block grant allocation, housing initiatives, library services, public health, and historic preservation. Public Safety Committee, Chair is Carol Anderson Blanks, Vice Chair Adrian Billings-Smith, minority member Alberto Cortez. This shall have cognizance of all matters related to oversight of police services, fire and emergency medical services, and emergency management. Public Works and Facilities Committee, Chair is Ben Winograd, Vice Chair Carol Anderson Blanks, minority member Mark Sedanowitz, shall have cognizance of all matters related to public works, cemetery operations, parking operations, plant and facilities management, waste management, energy management, and other sustainability initiatives. So a lot of the heavy lifting is truly done in these committees, and I thank you all for your commitment and getting that all set. Okay, we don't actually vote on that. That is my, so now, Mr. Sweeney.
Madam Mayor, without objection, I move that we refer this resolution to the Standing Committee on Council Affairs and Governance.
Is there any objection? Hearing no objections, the motion is adopted. Letter I, Mr. Sweeney.
Yep. Madam Mayor, I move adoption of the resolution setting town council meeting dates.
Second.
Okay, all of those, hopefully you've had the opportunity to look at them and put them on your calendar. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Mayor, we have a suspension item.
Yes.
Without objection, I move that we suspend the rules for the purpose of adding an item scheduling the public hearing on the ordinance prohibiting the operation of all-terrain vehicles on public property for December 14th, 2021 at 7 p.m. The public hearing was originally scheduled for tonight at 7:15, but was canceled due to the lack of publication in the Hartford Courant.
Is there any objection? There being no objection, the item is added to the agenda. Mr. Sweeney?
I move to reschedule the public hearing on the ordinance prohibiting the operation of all-terrain vehicles on public property to December 14th, 2021 at 7 p.m.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We have a communication. Mr. Sweeney?
Madam Mayor, we have a communication from Adrian Billing-Smith resigning from the Civilian Police Review Board effective November 4th, 2021. Without objection, I move that we receive a communication from her resigning from that board.
Is there any objection? Seeing none, motion is adopted. Next.
Madam Mayor, without objection, I move that we receive a communication from Alberto Cortez resigning from the Civilian Police Review Board effective November 5th, 2011.
Is there?
2021.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Read anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time capsule. All right, is there any objection? No, you stay.
Yep.
Is there any objection? There being no objection, motion is adopted. Before we adjourn, it is traditional, we only have between me and your whatever, late dinner and whatever else. But I do have a few things I need to say. First, I do want to thank the town staff that is seated in the back. I know we have I can't see all of you, but I know the fire chief is here. I know our new assistant chief of police is Rob Rubicon is here, and I can't see everybody else, but thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate your support. Our Director of Public Works, who really is such an incredible star and so innovative and responsive, John Phillips, thank you so much for all you do. But all of our staff that happens not to be here tonight, I thank you. They have really stepped up so profoundly. And of course, to our Corporation Counsel, Dallas Dodge, our Deputy Corp Counsel, Gina Verano, we are so lucky to have an incredibly talented team in the Corporation Counsel's office, and tremendous support, and our town manager, Matt Hart. You have really proven to be an amazing leader, and really tremendous gratitude for the really heavy lifting that you've done over these past couple of years. Very, very lucky. I want to also, again, thank Lee, Chris, and Beth for their service. I want to thank the residents and my fellow counselors for their support, trust, and confidence in all of us. And I promise to do my best to honor the privilege and the responsibility that I've been given. Congratulations to Lamb on being selected for Deputy Mayor. Thank you for stepping up to serve in this role, especially when you have a third child on the way, with increased responsibility. I know you are looking forward to this opportunity, and I look forward to working with you in this new capacity. You are astute and care very much about this community. You put a lot of effort into everything you do, and I will be relying on you, and I'm very grateful. Thank you, Whitney, Rory, and Claire. I think they left. And Bill and Chris, I see his parents in the back they're very, very proud, and they should be. But I just want to take a moment to say, Leon, I want to share my gratitude to you for serving as Deputy Mayor over this past term. You are a statesman. You really are, and you take everything that you do. You can tell it by, the way he just nominated, but everything he does, he gives a lot of thought to, and is very, very professional. You have tremendous institutional knowledge that has and will continue to be a resource to all of us. I have so appreciated the guidance and advice you have provided to me. You have always been available and tremendously supportive, and I know that I was able to give more as mayor because of your help and steady presence. I know you weren't in the role for the title, but for the work and the contributions. You, my friend, are a class act. Thank you to Lexi, Becky, and Lonnie for sharing him with us. Thank you. And congratulations to all of you. I want to thank your families, because this is, as you have heard, a significant time commitment. You can run now. And requires significant support of the families to allow us to do the work. The Sweeney, Davidoff, Blanks, Winograd, Faye Smith family, and of course my own husband, Michael, who is a tremendous supporter and is here, and maybe a couple of my kids might be watching tonight. Thank you for your tremendous support. But a special welcome to our first Latino council member, Alberto Cortez. You're making history, as Chris Williams said, and I'm so glad to welcome you. Thank you to your wife Jessica and sons Adrian and Gabriel for letting us have him. And really, again, looking forward to having you be a leader in this community. I welcome Mark Sedanowitz to this council and thank him for his service on the board. He is a seasoned public official, and we are so grateful for your service, and obviously you are bringing a lot of insight from the Board of Education, and we're looking forward to that. And thank you to your wife, Nella, Ryan, and Julia. Really, really appreciate it. And then new to being an elected official, but not as a community leader. She has proven herself to be a community leader, a real community leader. I want to welcome Adrian Billings-Smith and thank her wife, Susie, son Russell, mom Renee, and her niece as well, so, and her whole family support. Again, we couldn't do this without all of our family support, so my appreciation to all of you. Each term brings new challenges and opportunities, some larger than others. This year's pandemic was one of those extraordinary challenges. We had to pivot and reprioritize, respond and collaborate in new ways. I'm proud of our team and staff for meeting and exceeding the obstacles faced. As we come out on the other side of the pandemic, we are tasked with moving forward to be better, healthier, more just, stronger, more resilient, more sustainable, more innovative, collaborative, and creative, and seize upon the unique opportunities ahead. We can best meet the challenges and opportunities, both known and unknown, by bringing together our unique perspectives and engage in the real work respectively and earnestly. I am sharing with you an outline that I found very helpful, articulating our role and how to best to be the most effective body and productive individuals. This is from Municipal World by Christina Bentley from the Leadership magazine. And it was really remarkable. I started writing something and then I read this and I'm like, this says it better than I could. Our public just elected us to make decisions on their behalf. They bestow upon this governing body the mandate to do the hard work of setting policy designed to deliver collective services to the community with the limited resources provided. Like never before, we need relevant, authentic, and forward-thinking leaders who understand the complexities of governing during times of uncertainty and change. And here are some qualities and characteristics that are vital in a local leader. Relationship builder. Never underestimate the value of building relationships with each other, with staff, and the greater community. Being a team player. Healthy governing body knows that each person was elected by the public as individuals, but they must work together as a team. And that means being able to advocate for one's position while remaining curious and open-minded about the positions of others. Emotionally mature. Local leaders need to be in tune with their own emotional state and know how it affects them, given that they are required to make decisions in the best interest of the entire community. Despite opposition, they must be able to withstand criticism. Being emotionally mature means staying engaged, welcoming dissent, and not overreacting to it. At times, it may mean coping with intense emotions of others. Approachable. Leader means listening carefully to others with a desire to understand concerns, ideas, and perspectives. Elected officials are expected to be accessible to the community through meetings and events. Commitment to be clear, diverse, and regular communication with the community. Critical thinker. Today's problems often are yesterday's solutions. Elected officials should consider how to best limit shifting a problem into the future by maintaining a long-term perspective and considering the potential impact of decisions. Being prepared. Never underestimate the mental preparation required to make decisions about long-term sustainability of a community. It's easy to believe that being an elected official means attending a few meetings a month. but effective elected officials are committed by doing their homework. They come prepared to participate in discussions by researching, reading background materials prior to attending meeting sessions and committees. On financial acumen, we can't afford to have a governing body where 2/3 of the group glaze over budgeting process, while a few others want to go through the budget line by painful line. Policymakers need to understand basic financial information and be able to evaluate budgets and financial statements. If they don't, they should be willing to seek training to improve their skills. They need to comprehend the long-term taxation and budget consequences of financial proposals and decisions. And that was what really, Councilor Williams was saying. These are decisions that affect our everyday lives and really are important. And I will close. In the coming term, we have a lot of work to do, a lot of work ahead of us. And here's some examples. We will meet the health and safety needs of our community, roll out and implement strategic investments in our community with our ARPA funds, work on plans for our infrastructure needs on stormwater and more, evaluate initiatives for resiliency, work on sustainability and potential economic development across the town, including diverse and accessible housing, transportation improvements, fiscally sound decisions, and facilitate plans for a new community center, and there's so much more. I have often said, if you stand still, you lose the race. I look forward to working together with all of you and moving forward with all of you to keep West Hartford as one of the premier communities in the state and the country. Thank you all, and I will make a motion to adjourn.
Madam Mayor, it is my pleasure. Madam Mayor, it is my pleasure, without objection, that we move for adjournment.
Second.
And are there any objections? We are adjourned. Congratulations again. Thank you all for coming.